Hey, it's your boy Freshy Fletch, and I'm back with another video. Today, I want to go over everything that you need to know about this new slime collab. As always, if you like this style of videos, don't forget to hit the like button. If you want to see more content from me in the future, don't forget to subscribe, and we'll get on with the video. So, with the slime collab, the first thing that I want to go over are the two units that are being released initially. They're going to be Rimuru and Milim. Now, eventually, we plan on getting Benimaru. It's already been confirmed by Smilegate. We're probably going to get that sometime next week. But for right now, we have these two units, which are a rerun, which you may actually want to pick up if you don't already have them. Rimuru is a very versatile unit. He can be built as a bruiser, a DPS, or even a tank, and he has a very unique set of skills which cannot be, which no other unit in this game can do. Milim also has a very good spot in the meta right now. She may be even a tiny bit more popular than Rimuru. She's also very versatile as well, where you can build her speed or bruiser on counter or bruiser on lifesteal. So really quick, I'm just going to get into their skills, and I'll wind up showing you the builds that I've been using for both of these units. So for Rimuru, I actually wind up building him on a general purpose build. He's not necessarily that tanky, he's not necessarily does that DPS, kind of like a middle of both worlds. I have his sets on pen, crit, and immunity. The immunity really helps out for turn 1 disables, the penetration helps him with his damage, and the crit just helps to make up for some of his lost stats. As you can see, I still didn't quite hit his crit threshold. I didn't get him quite up to 100%, so I don't have him on premium gear, so I did opt for using Hell Cutter as his artifact, which will give him that additional critical hit percent, and by the time it's his turn, hopefully he'll have somewhere close to 100. Now, I've seen Rimuru's build up to 20k health on him and like 1500 defense with no attack stats, and then I've also seen Rimuru's go with like 300 crit damage, nearly 4k attack, and just completely, one-shot units with this S1 and S2. S2 and S3, I mean. Either way, it's up to you. It depends on what you need based on the units that you currently own, and maybe try out each build and see which one is best for you. Let's go into Rimuru's skills really quick, starting with his S1, which is really basic. He basically attacks the enemy and gives them a random buff. The buff can be immunity, increased attack, or increased critical hit resistance, or increased effect resistance. The effect resistance really isn't going to be that strong. However, the crit resistance can help him stay alive for an extra turn. Immunity is always pretty good, and the increased attack is going to be pretty good as well. So you got like a 3 out of 4 chance of getting something decent there. For Analyze and Assess, this is one of the skills that makes Rimuru truly unique. So with this skill, when someone attacks on the enemy's team that has a buff and they hit one of your units, Rimuru's actually going to wind up counterattacking. It's not a regular counterattack, but he's going to counterattack with a skill. And when he does that, which will activate like Lionheart Surmia and Rowana and things like that, when he does that, he will go ahead and then copy the buffs that they have on their team or the unit that Rimuru winds up hitting, and then he's going to give it to every unit on your entire team. So think of Arya with her defense buff and counter buff. Rimuru does his Analyze and Assess. He goes ahead, gives your entire team that buff. This is a very powerful skill. Do not take this one lightly. It also does a decent amount of damage. His S3 also has the same buff still. Because of his passive, the buff still actually copy comes from his passive. So the S3 also does that, but on top of that, it will inflict somewhere between 5 and 10k fixed damage. If the target is buff, it's also going to decrease defense of the entire enemy team. So this skill is very loaded. The damage depends on how many buffs he has. So the more buffs, the more damage he's doing. He can one-shot a lot of squishy units. He can put some big damage with some bruisers. Very good skill, very good skill set, and he's a very unique unit. Definitely recommend picking him up. The other unit, Milim. So Milim, she can be built on a few different ways. She's also very versatile. You can do speed. When you're at speed, you're looking from anywhere to 230 to 240. My Milim's a little bit slower here. You're also looking to get her on penetration set. I just didn't have the gear for that right now. So right now I have her on a speed and crit set until I can get some better gear for her. Milim also has a very good passive, so I'm going to start out with this passive really quick because this is really what's going to define the character. Milim's passive is called Dragon Eye Milim Eye. This actually dispels all stealth. and it's not a skill, it's a passive. It activates upon her turn, so whenever she takes her turn, stealth is removed from every unit on the opponent's field. So once again, bringing up that example from Arya S3s, the entire team gets stealth. Once Milim gets her turn, she's going to remove that stealth from their entire team without even having to activate a skill, which is really good because you won't be activating Politis or anything like that. So her S1 is going to be Dragon Dive. What it does is gives her an attack buff after attacking. It also heals her. So it's like a mini Sigurd Scythe or, you know, mini lifesteal set or something like that. This is what makes her very viable when it comes to those counter builds or lifesteal builds. Because in lifesteal, she's going to be healing so much. She's going to be going from like 50% to full. And in counter, if she keeps countering, what happens is, one thing I didn't mention about her passive is that she collects focus stacks. Once her focus stacks are full, she gets a maximum of 5. She activates an AoE attack that does, you know, a decent amount of damage, and then also removes 10 souls from the enemy. So proccing this, as you can see at the top there for Dragon Dive, it acquires 1 focus. Proccing this on counter is gonna help her build that focus faster and get her closer to hitting that Dragon Dive. In addition, she also has an artifact, which I don't have right now, but I'll show in a little bit. She has an artifact that also will proc a counterattack if she's attacked by a non-critical hit. Now, I know what you're thinking. Well, every DPS unit's going to have crit on them. How does Milim get hit with non-critical hits? Well, that brings us to her S3 here. So her S3, Dragon Fear, acquires 2 focus, and what it does is it attacks the enemy with a decent sized damage nuke, by the way, single target, and then gives Milim increased evasion. When Milim evades, or when attack misses Milim, that also counts as a non-critical hit, which will go ahead and activate her artifact, which I will show you both in a bit. But before I do, I just want to give a quick summary. Milim, very good unit. Rimuru, very good unit. Both very unique in what they do. I think that they're both really good for your kit. The only thing is you may want to be careful and see if you can wait until you find out what this next unit, whose name is Benimaru, I believe, his skill set's going to be before you go and use your bookmarks. And also, if you're pulling for dupes, I just say wait. His skill set should be possibly coming out this week sometime around Wednesday or Thursday, so just wait to see if that happens, and if it does, make a decision after you see the new units kit. Okay, so with that being said, I'd like to bring you to the artifact for both of these units, neither which I own, and I am not sure I'm going to pull for them just yet. Not because they're bad. So let's actually, before I get into too much detail, let's go ahead and I'll show you Rimuru's artifact now. Okay, Rimuru's artifact, Anti-Magic Mass. So this is akin to his S1. How his S1 gives him a random buff? Well, with Anti-Magic Mass, Rimuru's also going to be getting a random buff, or any warrior unit that you decide to use this on. The buffs are going to be a little bit different. It'll be immunity, increased attack, increased defense, increased critical hit damage, increased speed. These are all actually very decent buffs. Warriors also have some really good artifacts, though. I mean, they have Sigurd Scythe, they have Draco Plate, they have some really good artifacts. Those 2 off the top of my head, and it's hard to justify using this, especially if it's not maxed. And in order to max it, you have to pull an additional 5 copies other than the first copy. So although it can be good, it's a little bit difficult to use at this current moment in the meta. Milim's artifact here is upgraded Dragon Knuckles, similar to what I was telling you earlier. When the caster suffers a non-critical hit, has a 15% chance to counterattack. I believe at max it becomes a 20% chance to counterattack. You add that on top of counter set, so you have a 30% from counter set and then a 20% from the artifact. They do not stack, but they're individual checks. This can let Milim counter very often, and then also will bring her to her focus to her Dragon Buster that much quicker. So with getting out the way the 2 initial units that you pull for, there's also a free unit. The free unit is Shuna. I actually have her here in my lobby as well, who many has regarded to be not that great of a unit, but has really seen some play in the this coming meta. I've seen her a few times in RTA. I hear about people using her in Legend. I personally do not have her built, but I do have the character as is the free character, and that you all should get her from doing the side story. I'll get into the side story in a little bit, but let's just go over Shuna's skills really quick. Shuna, for her S1, she attacks the enemy. She recovers the health of your allies, which can be extremely good, especially in some abyss floors where you don't want to use non-attack skills. on top of that, damage increase dealt to the proportional to the caster's max health. Well, I mean, you're not really looking at damage, right? But if she soul burns, she gets an extra attack with the skill. All right. For her second skill, it dispels one debuff from all allies, redistributes the health so that each ally has an equal ratio before getting a barrier for 2 turns. Barrier strength increases proportional to the caster's max health. What this means is that if you have like a really high tank or whatever, a bruiser tank with high HP, they're going to be using their HP. They're going to lose a little bit. Everyone else is going to get some, and it's basically like a pseudo heal at the expense of probably like your tankiest unit, which sometimes will be her as well. It's not that bad. Not that great, but if I'm not mistaken, I think it goes behind unhealable, because you're not really healing the units, you're redistributing health. I haven't actually tested this myself, but based on the text, it seems like it may go around the unhealable buff. So that's something that we might want to test in the future. Her S3 with Scattering Petals dispels 2 buffs from all enemies before a 50% chance to put them to sleep. Now at max, this is going to be 100% chance, I think, after you include her EE, which was just modified or added. I don't know if she had it before, but she does have an EE now, which gives some additional percentage chance, and I believe maxed out it's going to be 100%, but we can go check that in a little bit. Puts them to sleep, also decreases their attack for 2 turns. It's actually a pretty powerful skill. Think of Sage Ball, but Sage Ball actually has it built in CR push. So imagine having her on like a turnish or something like that, where she CR pushes, then she cuts, and then she, you know, dispels the buffs. So that goes around Rand's immunity and things like that, and then puts the enemy to sleep. That can really mess up a cleave team and win you the game. Overall, she's also a very unique unit, not seen as much initially, but now seeing more play. You can pick her up for free, so you don't really have to worry about spending bookmarks, so everyone should actually pick her up. With that being said, that's all 3 of the units that are going to be included thus far until Benimaru comes into play sometime next week or the week after. So other than that, I did want to just show you the side story really quick, because there's some good rewards there that you definitely want to make sure that you're getting. The side story was released a couple days ago as of the recording of this video, and the main things, well, I'll just click the main reward here. Main things you're looking at here, you're going to get the artifact, which I didn't go over, so I'll go ahead and do that now. Shuna's artifact increases effect resistance by 10%, and then at max, I believe it's 20%. Increase effectiveness by 15%. At the end of the caster's turn, this effect can stack up to 3 times. So as the battle goes on, she's getting more F-res and more effect resistance. The effect resistance is probably going to be countered by frenzy, so I'm not sure if that's actually as important. However, it can add up over time. It's just that for soul weavers, they have a lot of good artifacts, so I don't really know if there's something that you want to use in place of, I don't know, Guardian Ice Crystals or Water's Origin, Eternas. I mean, they have so many good artifacts. It's kind of hard justifying using this, except for very niche heroes and very niche builds. Also, you'll notice that Milim's new equipment, which dropped this week, is going to be included in the side story. This is how you're going to pick this up, which is kind of good. I mean, it does, it is locked behind a side story, which is time gated. I know that part sucks, but in addition, another way of thinking about it is you don't have to spend that currency. You don't have to spend that currency from World Boss. I forgot what the thing is called, but that weekly event where you have to kill that boss. You don't have to do that anymore. Now you can, well, for this particular EE, or both of these EEs actually, and you can just get these from the side story. So one thing to note here is the S1 EE for Milim and for Shuna are going to be here in the main rewards information. Now the I believe it's the S3 EE, which you got to give me 1 second to find. Okay, here we go. S3 EE. It's going to be found in the travel. This one here is for Shuna, and then I believe Milim's is down here somewhere. Don't make me a liar now. Here's Milim's. That's Milim's S3 EE. And you can also read these. I'm probably not going to go over EEs in this particular video and what they do, but this is where you're going to pick them up for the very least. And then the last one, I want to say it's in the exchange shop or in reputation. It's in reputation here, and this will be where you get the S2 EE. This one is for Milim here, and you can also read through that skill text if you like, and this is where Shuna's is going to be. So you can pick all these up from the side story. In addition, I know I mentioned earlier, but you can also get a couple pieces of gear. These are 78 gear. As I mentioned in my gear video, these are going to be mid game, like early to mid game gear, not necessarily late game gear. If you're in the late game already, I would still grab this sword and throw a couple mats into it. If it hits speed 4 times in a row, maybe keep it. Otherwise, you probably really don't want it in late game. But in early to mid game, it's not that bad. Honestly, it's not that bad. But once you start having units that have fully reforged gear with gear scores that are like 90 to 100, or equipment score, I should say, you're not really going to be needing these. But this is all through the side story. You should do this. You have about 2.5 weeks to get this done as of the recording of this video. Get all the currency. Don't forget to use your artifacts, whether you have the anti-magic mask or the dragon knuckles that you pulled, maybe by getting lucky, or you can grab the flawless garments, which you get for free, and just use that in order to go through the side story quicker, meaning you don't have to grind as long for the currency. But those are the big things. Now, next week, we also have Benimaru coming to the picture. This is going to switch up things a lot. If I had to bet, I'm going to say he's going to be a very, very impactful unit. And I do recommend that everybody pick him up. That's without even watching a skill set. Now, if he comes out and the skill set looks garbage, don't pick him up. Just ignore what I said. But I have a prediction, because with a lot of the collab units, especially in limiteds as well, but mostly collab units, if they're not very good, which they usually are, we either find out that they're going to be good later on, or they wind up getting buffed. Look at, Karina, look at Landy, which is a limited. Look at all of these examples. And Edward, which just came out, he got buffed before his banner even left. Like, this is happening to be a trend with Smilegate, so we got to make sure we're being proactive. If it's up to me, I'd say grab at least 1 copy of every unit. Don't worry about dupes yet. If it's your first rodeo, if you already have Milim and Rimuru, I'd say wait for Benimaru before you pull for any dupes. Anyway, that's pretty much it with this Epic 7 collab. There's also some other things as well, like you got your event, you got your normal event here, which is the same as any other event where you do your tickets and everything like that. It's just themed for slime. But there's also another login event, which I can't remember off the top of my head how to make that one pop up. But there is another login event. Sorry about that, guys. Took me a while to find it. Here's the login event here. Every time you log in, you'll wind up getting some material. So just make sure you log in every day and get these. It only takes about 7 days. So, I mean, you don't even have to log in every day. You log in 7 days during the event. But and these are the rewards here. I think this last one is a 4 or 5. Oh, it's a 5-star hero summon ticket. It says it right there. But the reason why you do want to log in every day, which I don't have it up anymore because I used my summons already, but right now we're getting the summons, the extra 10 summons, and they're giving us our free summons. So you're getting 11 summons per day, and this is usually only good for 7 days. So you want to make sure that you're doing these summons, because who knows, you might pull an ML5. Anyway, I don't want to ramble on too long for you guys. Thanks so much for stopping by. I want to take a moment to say the last couple of videos I've been doing really well. I want to give a huge shout out to the community. I'm glad that you guys are enjoying the content. I plan to keep making more as long as people want to watch it. And if you have any suggestions, go ahead and throw them in the comments. As always, if you like the video, please go ahead and hit that thumbs up button. If you want to see more content like this and more from my channel, don't forget to subscribe. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.